Today on this episode of The Brain Surgeon's Take, we will be discussing the polarization of American politics with Congressman Carlos Gimenez. Learn how U.S. politics has shunned moderates, moved towards extremes, and left the future of this country in limbo. Much more on this podcast episode. Welcome back, everyone. Here's my take on Congressman Gimenez. He is a political leader who is at the forefront of our ever-evolving U.S. government. As a member of the House Armed Services Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, and the House Select Committee on a Strategic Competition Plan, he has firsthand experience on how American politics have become polarized. As a U.S. citizen, it's concerning to see how moderate, bipartisan politicians that once dominated the field have now become ostracized, giving way to more radical left and right-wing candidates. It is clear from talking to Congressman Gimenez that these extreme views not only divide our country, but also set up public distrust and dangerous conspiracy theories. After listening to the podcast, you will be left wondering, where is this all headed? What is the end game? Is it socialism? Is it dictatorship? Are we nearing the end of democracy? These frightening ideals may in fact become reality given our current trajectory. Listen up as we discuss the polarization of American politics. Check it out. Hey, Congressman Gimenez, how you doing? How's everything?
I'm doing pretty well, Doctor. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Listen, thanks for joining us today. I think no matter which party you're for, it's certainly a very hectic time in terms of American politics. And I wanted to get your opinion, being at the forefront of it, as to why American politics have become so polarized. And I just want to start by saying, from your perspective, as someone who's been involved in high-level government now for many decades, how do you feel American politics have changed over the last few decades?
Well, I think that, look, when I was growing up, there were the media. There was, ABC, CBS, NBC, and that's it. And you got your news at six o'clock at night, and everybody got their news either from ABC, NBC, CBS. And the standards maybe of journalism were a little different, where it was, as a conservative, I thought there was always a slant, but it was never, it was who, what, when, where, how, maybe given to you a little bit differently, maybe from a certain slant. But now today you get, news in many different formats, and a lot of places where it says it's news, it's actually not news, it's opinion. And people are starting to go to where they feel comfortable with the opinion being put forward. You either go to MSNBC if you're a liberal, you go to Fox if you're a conservative, CNN. I don't know where CNN's usually more liberal, and so we're not listening to all sides of a story, and you're only getting one side of the story, and then that's putting people in one camp or another. And I think that's really not good. And also, even on elections, before it used to be, even for primaries, you'd get 50 in order to qualify as the candidate. You'd have to get 50% plus one. Now most of them are winner take all. And when you have winner take all, the extremes have a greater chance of becoming the candidate of the party. And so you're left with having to vote for extreme right or extreme left. And so then you end up where are you more comfortable? If you kind of lean to the left, you're going to go that way, even though you may not like it. And if you lean to the right, you're going to go that way, even though you may not like it. And I think that also has something to say. When they changed that here in Florida, there was the majority leader was somebody that I knew, and I said, look, I think that's a huge mistake. You're eventually going to force. It's going to be a choice between a super right or super left, and that's not going to be good for America. And America is not either super right or super left. I think America is actually a little bit right of center, and maybe left of center, but center is the operative word. And so we're losing that. You're not getting that. So Yeah, I think there's a combination of things of why we're so polarized. We're not listening to other points of view. We refuse to listen to other points of view, and yet and we go to the place that reinforces our point of view and see we're right, and so we're here. I'm right, you're wrong. Okay, and that's what's going on.
Would you say journalism is what has changed the most in terms of the political arena in the last 20 years?
I would think so, and I think even maybe a little bit more than 20 years. Look, journalists used to be, hey, we are objective, even though you knew that they were never always 100% objective, because as a human being, you're always going to your point of view, your perspective is always going to be injected into a story. Um, Now they're unabashedly partisan, and even the New York Times and all, and the Washington Post, these standards supposedly of objective journalism, has said no, that it's okay to inject your personal point of view, and that it's our duty to tell people the truth, and all that. Well, the truth lies in the eyes of the beholder or the eyes of the teller, and so yeah, you see journalism has changed, completely. And look, I don't want to sound partisan and all that, but let's take the case of President Trump and this Russia collusion thing. It's been proven to be a total hoax, and we were fed this stuff for 4 years, how he was an agent of Russia, and then people got Pulitzer prizes for it, and then when it turned out to be that total hoax, and it was wrong, and it was all set up not by it was set up by really by Hillary Clinton's campaign. Okay, then people, oh wait, oh gee, hey, we made a mistake. Well, nobody admits to it, and I'm sure the same things happen on the right, where a lot of stuff is baloney, and and nobody owns up to it. And so yeah, it's journalism has changed completely to the point where now whenever you read a story, even from a credible news source, you got to take it with a grain of salt, because you don't know how true it is, and that also is very damaging to America.
Yeah, I think you said it best, is that journalism has an agenda. Every TV, radio station, they have an agenda, and it's not necessarily to give you the facts. It's to push their itinerary and their beliefs on you. And I think I agree. There's an incredible power of the media. And as Americans, we need to make sure that we form our own opinions and not necessarily interpret the media for being facts. And I think you also mentioned something very important about how how the politics have become very nasty in this country. And there's a lot of political violence that didn't really exist. In your opinion, how do we remove the emotional component, respect each other's opinions, and refocus on addressing the important issues in this country rather than asking to fight, or physical violence, which happened the other day? Kind of crazy, right? How do we get past that? This episode of the Brain Surgeon's Take is brought to you by Vitamin Water. Vitamin water is the ideal way to hydrate, replete your electrolytes, and maintain wellness. I drink vitamin water routinely during the day in order to keep up my energy and focus. Check out vitaminwater.com for more information and use the promo code BrainSurgeonsTake for 20% off your first order.
Look, I don't. What happened the other day? I mean, oh, you have a senator, that wants to, duke it out with a union boss. Apparently took some things that union boss said very personally. And look, what I said about that is we have to respect the institution that we represent. We also have to respect the people that we represent. I take my job very seriously. I'm a U.S. congressman. It's an incredible honor to be a U.S. congressman. When you walk up and it's the capital of the United States, still the most powerful nation in the world, and you represent close to 1 million people. You got to take that really seriously. And as a United States senator, depending on what state you are, you represent anywhere from 40 million people to on down. So. I think you have to start viewing what it is you're there to do the institution that you're serving, and really, and it all goes down even to local politics. All right, and you're a city commissioner or you're a village commissioner, et cetera. That's an institution too, and you owe it to the people that you represent and the institution in which you're serving to show respect and restraint and act accordingly. Now, that being said, we're all human, and sometimes human emotion is going to, at the moment, is going to everything's going to go away, and you're I'm so and so, I'm not Senator so and so, and you've insulted me, and therefore let's go out to the parking lot and resolve our differences. That shouldn't be. And the same thing happened, supposedly happened, in Congress on the House side, and emotions there. I know what's going on there. I mean, I'm part of it, and the emotions there are running high, even within the party. All right, even within supposedly be our colleagues. All right, emotions are running high because we have differences of opinion, and we can't seem to get it together to pass the things that really are important to America, and we're kind of focusing in on other stuff which we shouldn't be focusing in on.
And let's move on to what are the implications of the polarization. We obviously know this country is incredibly divided, more so than it ever has been. But in the higher level government, from your opinion, has this incredibly bipartisan rift made making decisions more difficult? And really, what are the implications for this country?
Well, again, I mean, we go back to who's getting elected, and when you have people that are so polar opposites, where you don't find a middle ground, it's really difficult. And so, look, be honest with you, a lot of people understand that we pass a ton of bills that are bipartisan in nature, and it's called suspension, and you need 2/3 of in order to put these bills on suspension, you need 2/3 of the House in order to pass it. And we pass a whole bunch of bills that are bipartisan in nature. But in the real important stuff, what are we going to do with energy? What are we going to do on the southern border? What are we going to do on foreign policy? What are we doing on some social issues? Right there's a huge rift, and where we see the world completely different. And even within our own party, we may see some different. There may be a degree of difference inside the party. On the opposite side, with the opposing, with the Democrats, because I'm Republican, it's not a degree issue. It's actually, I see things completely different. Okay. And it becomes more difficult to get to the middle. Look, one of the problems that we're having in our party is that, look, I'm a Reagan Republican. And so if I get 75%, 80%, 70%, yeah, okay. And then we can move the ball. Okay. We can do that. There's some in my party that they want 100%. Well, you're not going to get 100%. When you're dealing with a body of 435 people, even inside your own party, you're not going to get 100% because we come from different places. We represent different people. We have different points of view. Same thing over, I'm sure, on the Democrat side, where they don't get 100%. Maybe they block this or that and the other. So we got to get away from that. I mean, I'd love to get away from that, but there are people still on both sides that want 100% of what they want, and that just doesn't work that way. Not when you're in a collaborative, supposedly collaborative body.
What are the implications of the political polarization on American culture? You see a lot of stuff in social media, in the news, a lot of hysteria, the rift that you're talking about. What do you think that the current political state has done to American culture?
Well, that's a difficult question. I mean, the culture of America. Again, you see us more polarized, and you see red states maybe getting redder, bluer states getting bluer, and we just have a huge difference of opinion of how things should be. I mean, you got people that want to defund the police, and you want other people that want more, the police to be better funded because crime is running rampant, et cetera. And so, yeah, some people think that the reason crime is running rampant is because of this, that, or the other, and some people think that it's because of lax enforcement, and so we eventually have to figure this out as Americans. And I don't think that those institutions now, like the media, are helping any. I think the media is driving us further apart for ratings and clicks and this, and chasing the dollar. That's not good. I mean, 'cause like I said, in the days of NBC, ABC, and CBS, I mean, everybody got the news at the same time, the same way, and all that, and so you tend to view the world more alike, even though there were conservatives and liberals, but everybody there wasn't. It was more centered around the center. You were conservative, you were right of center, you were liberal, you were left of center. Now it's like way to the extremes, and I don't think that's good for the country. But I saying that, I don't know how to fix it until those institutions come back to their senses and say, hey, we got to go back to the tried and true, which is who, what, when, where, how. We may spin it, but these are the facts as we know them. Right now, we can't even agree on the facts or the premise. Okay, so yeah.
Do you feel that democracy is threatened in this country currently?
Well, Ronald Reagan said that democracy is it could be one generation away, and that was 40 years ago, 30 years ago. So democracy is and freedom is not free. So we have to constantly be on the lookout to make sure that democracy survives. And I see certain things that I don't like. I see censorship, which I don't like at all. And I think that the one thing that could undermine democracy is censorship. That hey, that speech, you can't say that. Well, I'm a defender of free speech. I may not like what you say, but I'm going to defend your right to say it. Some people are getting to the point where they don't even want to hear something else. That will threaten democracy. So you hear if somebody's saying something that you may disagree with, that's it. I don't want to hear. Not only do I not want to hear it, I don't want you to even say it, right?
Crazy.
And that is extremely dangerous. That's extremely dangerous. And no matter where it's coming from, if people, I was asked on a TV show about censoring on social media, and I said I was against it. That somehow we have to censor or block misinformation. Okay, well, what is misinformation? A lot of the stuff that we heard during the COVID pandemic as misinformation actually turned out to be true. All right, and so no, I say that the best defense against misinformation is more information. And so that you can get and listen to different points of view, and then end up with your own opinion on a subject or two. One of the things that I do all the time is there is a website that I read that has opinions from both the right and the left, and I read the opinions of both the right and the left, and then I make up my own mind. But I may be an exception, that does that. This website is, I think is pretty good at laying out conservative points of view, liberal points of view, and then kind of you decide where you want to go. I don't know how many people do that, and I don't know how many websites or sites are like that. Certainly not in today's media. It's you're either tuning into a totally left, site or program, or you're turning into a totally right program, and you may not get both sides of the equation. Yeah, and I think that threatens democracy. So that's where I'm at on that. But like I said, Ronald Reagan also always said we were only one generation away, and so we need to be on guard about that.
Would you say there is a single unbiased news source in this country? Let's say someone moves here from another country and they want to get the least biased news source. Is there any such thing?
No. There's
That's
not,
crazy, isn't
not
that?
that I
That's
know of. No, that's why you have to take the time to look at both sides, right? Because I think everything they're all biased. To be honest with you, I don't know of anybody that's not biased, either biased to the right or biased to the left. I mean, I don't know of any site that says, "Hey, we want to be." I heard that CNN was trying to get back to more of what they used to be, which was reporting the news. Obviously, you knew that they kind of had a left slant, but man, they really went left. In the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, completely left. I mean, they all bought into this whole Russia collusion stuff along with MSNBC, and they were pumping that out. The New York Times, the Washington Post, all of them were pumping all that stuff out, and it was all circular, which is interesting too, because you have to look at it as, the Post quotes the Times as a source, and yet the Times is getting their source is anonymous. And therefore, since the Time reported it, then it must be, it's validated. Therefore, I can now report it. Oh, okay. And CNN takes the Post and the Times. Oh, look, the Times and the Post. And now CNN's reporting. It's all the same thing, but they're all validating each other. Okay. And so, we have to be on the watch. And hey, look, when that whole thing came out, I'm like, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. It's all based on a dossier that was funded by the DNC and the Clinton campaign. Don't you think maybe, just maybe, there may be something a little screwy there? And then there were anonymous sources coming in from the FBI and high intelligence, and all that stuff. Well, it turns out to be one source, and it was all circular, and they were all verifying each other. All right. But it was really based on one thing. And so they got stung with that, and actually hurt the news media a lot, with that. And we're seeing more and more of it, that we're finding out what they're telling us is, hey, that's not real. And that also hurts America a lot. So we need to get, somehow we need to get our media back to some kind of reporting the facts, and then also reporting the other side, and let America decide how they should be thinking. But the media today, right now, is trying to push their side and push you to that side.
yeah.
And again, that's not the America that I grew up in.
Yeah. I mean, as we talked about, everyone chases money, and media is not there to give facts. They're there to make money. And if the two go together, great. And if the two don't go together, they're going to pick the money side. And so I think that's where a lot of the fault comes at. And then I want to talk about social media a little bit more. Obviously, journalism in general is incredibly biased, but social media, in particular TikTok, has come under a lot of scrutiny because of their control by China. What do you feel about social media in general, and in particular TikTok, and how damaging it potentially could be to this country?
TikTok. Let's go to TikTok, because I sit on the select, China committee. TikTok is incredibly dangerous, I believe. It not only because of what is there, but also the data that can be accumulated and sent to China. A lot of this data is necessary for artificial intelligence and the race to artificial intelligence. And the more data that they can collect, the more apt that they're going to win the race to artificial intelligence. Right now, we're probably pretty much neck and neck in that race, and that has unbelievable implications, especially for national security. The race to artificial intelligence, and so TikTok gathers tons of information, sends it back to China, even though the folks say no, not really. Yeah, they do. It's a Chinese company, and it's controlled by the CCP, even though they have an American subsidiary, et cetera. That's all. That's not, no. So we're looking at, are we going to ban TikTok? Frankly, I would ban TikTok. I would ban any kind of entity that's controlled by a foreign adversary. I would ban it. It's not good for us. And America has the capability to create its own TikTok. All right. So if you really want a TikTok app, maybe not maybe, it should be an American or an allied kind of application, and you can have all the fun or whatever that you want. The algorithms on TikTok are different for let's say if you're in China and you ask for a certain subject, it doesn't go to a bunch of the foolishness that you see on TikTok and trying to infect our American youth with really foolishness and pardon my language, crap. Okay. Where in China, if you ask for a certain subject that you end up being taught. It's educational. That's what comes out. So it's different when you ask for the same thing in America and you ask the same thing in China, you get different results. And so, as far as social media is concerned, yeah, I'm on it, but I don't read it. It's opinion. And so great. I'm happy. I'd rather talk to people versus, going on social media. And then social media, is that really a person? And they're anonymous. Who are you? And could it be a bot? Who knows? And so, yeah, I don't. But what's frustrating me, and I see, oh, hey, I saw on Facebook that, or I saw, on Instagram, somebody said this. Okay, somebody said that. Okay, and well, and it must be true. No, because we always were taught that, hey, to write it down, right? We kind of we take the spoken word is more suspect to us than, oh, we read it. Oh, must be true. No, it doesn't have to be true. And so people also, even on social media, hopefully know that a lot of what they're reading is not true. But again, am I there? Am I going to try to censor it? No. You just have to be smart enough to know that a lot of what you read is not true, and go somewhere else and find a different point of view, and then you make up your mind. More information is better, not less information.
I would agree with you, and I would say that social media and journalism in general, those are the two biggest culprits for the change in our culture, in our youth, and ultimately in how polarized I think the politics have become. I think those are the two main drivers, as you mentioned. I also want to talk about separating church and state. That's kind of an ideal government view. Everyone talks about separating those two. And we have moved towards more of a blending where church and state are now becoming more mixed. How do we avoid the two and keep religion out of American politics?
Well, I'm not sure I agree with the premise. Actually, the religion is the foundation of our country, and religion and politics have been mixing since the foundation of our country. I mean, look, when you look at prohibition, right? What was the basis of prohibition? It was, there was a religious component to prohibition. Our founding documents are full of God. The difference with us was that we didn't want a state religion. We wanted to have freedom of religion. And so the separation between church and state is that there is no one state religion, right? So, and you look back to England, and England has the Church of England is the state religion. Actually, the king probably still is the head of the church, right? And so, religion has always been a part of politics here. Is it becoming more? I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's becoming more. I think it's just, I don't have I wasn't around in the 1920s. I wasn't around in the 1800s. Okay. But when you look at the Battle Hymn of the Republic during the Civil War, that's a religious song. All right. My eyes have seen the coming of the glory of the Lord, so it's a religious song. So religion was always been ingrained in America. Actually, I could argue that religion is becoming less ingrained in America, okay, and less ingrained in American politics than it was in the past. That's where I see. I don't see religion as being a culprit here. I see that we were founded on Judeo-Christian principles, and that's not that's not being looked at as maybe by some folks as being good, and I disagree. I think that Judeo-Christian principles are the foundation of this country, and not to say that I have anything against any other religions, but that's the foundation. That's the moral foundation of this country, and so those are the boundaries in which we operate, and I don't see a problem with that. Now, people have different ideas of what that boundary is. All right. So, again, that's what makes America great is our ability to have religious freedom and difference of opinion. And then it's all worked out in the ballot box and it's all worked out with the representatives. And so, yeah, I just don't think, I think religion has always been a part of America.
Single biggest change you would like to see in American politics moving forward?
I'd like us to get back to this 50+1 to be a representative. To represent your party, to be a nominee versus this winner take all stuff. I think the winner take all stuff is incredibly dangerous because it will lead to incredible polarization, which is already starting to do. I mean, we're seeing that. And so I'd love for us to, if you're a nominee of the party, that you have to have 50+1. And then hopefully that will bring us more back to the middle where most of the people are. Most people are there somewhere in the middle. They're not extreme right or left. As far as social media is concerned, an awakening that it's just a bunch of people talking, all right? And that you take their opinions with a grain of salt, and then you make up your own mind, and somehow don't believe everything that you read. Have a critical mind. Be skeptical of everything. Doesn't mean that you're a skeptic. Doesn't mean that you're unhappy or whatever. It just means that, okay, I hear what you're saying. I got to check it out. And are you right or are you wrong? And don't take everything at face value. That's look. All that comes back to the individual. All right, it comes back to us. We are the ones that have to take responsibility. We're the ones that have to check things out. We're the ones that have to determine how what's right or wrong, or how we see right and wrong. And it comes back to the individual, not the collective. And so, again, that's part of America, where it's about individualism. It's not about a collective. And so, yeah, that's where I'd want to see. And so we can teach our children to be skeptical, not even other teachers, okay, that they're human too, and that everything that their teacher tells you may not be right, because they also have their own perspective and their own points of view, and they're trying to sway you to their point of view. And I see that too many kids absolutely believe everything that they're taught. Well, maybe not. Okay. Be skeptical even of that. And then if you find out that it's true, then okay, you accept it. But I think a healthy amount of skepticism is part of the medicine that we need in America right now.
So the final question, give us your crystal ball view. Where do you see U.S. politics in 10 years?
Wow, that's
that's why I was ending with that question.
That would be a rich guy. Look, a lot of it depends on what happens around the world. It's not just what's happening here. And external events look, 9/11 shaped America, right? If 9/11 had not happened, would we be different? Yeah, I think we'd be different. So external events shape our view of the world and shape how America reacts. And then internally, what happens? Who's elected, what policies are implemented will shape us. So I don't have that crystal. What I do know is this: that China will become an increasing threat. China has already said that they want to be the world's economic and military superpower, replacing the United States of America. If we allow that to happen, America will be a different place. The world will be a different place, because the world actually needs America to be strong. The world is safer when America is strong. The world is much less safe when America is weak. And so we have a place in the world. And again, that's such a difficult thing to foretell, but I can foretell this, that China will be a greater and greater adversary to the United States. And that's the challenge that we will either meet or we won't. And if we won't, it has consequences, and I think dire consequences to the future of this country and to the future of our children and our grandchildren. So a lot of it will depend. Will we be up to the challenge? Will America continue to be what America has been for the last 100 years? And what will America's place be in the world? And that my crystal ball is, hey, there's a challenge there that we need to confront, and we need to face it, and hit, go at it head on. And how America reacts to that, will determine what politics is and what America is in the next 20, 30, 40 years.
Listen, Congressman, what a terrific interview. I just want to highlight 3 points. Number one, it's very refreshing to talk to a reasonable politician. I feel like whenever you turn on the news, again, whether it's Fox or MSNBC, the people on TV are so unreasonable on both sides. And so, number one, thank you for being reasonable, middle ground, moderate, amazing conversation. Number two, I couldn't agree more that journalism, the news, and social media are definitely at the root of what we're seeing the last 2 decades. The mental health issues in this country, trouble with the youth, polarizing politics. Not really sure what the answer is there, because you can't get rid of social media. It's here to stay. And journalism, like we talked about, they got different influencers. So how to motivate media, that's a whole separate topic. And then I think third, just like you said, we're at a critical point in politics in this country, not only because we're so polarized and the country's so divided, but the world politics are very unstable. And so, like you said, what we do as a country is not only going to have repercussions on us in the U.S., but on every citizen of this planet. So amazing interview. Thank you for all you do, all the hard work you did here in Florida and now up in Congress. And again, congrats.
Thank you, Doctor. I really appreciate it. And I also appreciate what you do, saving lives every day. There's no better job. And so, thank you very much for what you do. And it was a pleasure talking to you. Anytime you want to talk again, let's do it.
Absolutely. You have a great weekend. Okay.
You too. All right.